Hey friends, happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. I'm having a decent one myself. It's pretty nice outside today, so that's nice. Anyways, today I wanted to get into something that a lot of parents are going to probably scratch their heads about and be like, what are you talking about? Um, and that is to keep your baby awake. Why would a sleep coach tell you as a parent to keep your baby awake? Let me explain. And it makes a lot more sense when you hear it, and you don't just go off that first sentence that I said. So what I mean by keeping your baby awake is that sometimes a little one can fall asleep before their recommended wake window. And I'm not talking about 5 minutes before or 10 minutes before. I'm talking about 30 or more minutes before their actual recommended wake window. So that can be an issue for a few reasons. And one of them being that it can end up causing cat naps throughout the day. It can end up affecting their night sleep because night sleep and day sleep affect each other. They go hand in hand. Good day sleep will mean good night sleep. And a little one and people in general only need a certain amount of sleep in a 24-hour period. And a certain amount should be at night and a certain amount should be in the day. Um, Obviously, for adults, we don't really need any day sleep. I mean, I'm sure some people like to have some day sleep, but we don't actually really need it unless there's other reasons going on, such as age or whatever. But for little ones, they need a certain amount of day sleep that is age dependent, and then they need a certain amount of night sleep, which is also age dependent. Um, so that all really depends, but you do want to make sure that they're getting that certain amount of day sleep and that certain amount of night sleep. So that being said, wake windows can vary throughout the day, and I know I've said that before, but you want to keep it as close to the recommended wake window as you can. And that will actually help you in the process, help you in the long run, and it'll also help your little one in the long run. So maybe you've gone through something like this before where you're going for a walk with your baby, or maybe you start like cooking or you start like vacuuming or something like that, and with a newborn, they can fall asleep with a vacuum on, and I know because I had 3 kids and they all did. But anyways, you start doing something and you just leave your baby for a minute and you look back and they're sleeping. This would always happen to me on walks. I'd be walking with my one of my kids, and all of a sudden I look and they're fast asleep, and it is not time for a nap yet. And I'm like, oh no, like what do I do? I don't want to wake them because whatever, this walk is peaceful right now. Let's be real. And a lot of parents don't know what to do. Like, should I wake them? Do I just leave them? So I'm gonna say that to wake them. Yes, to do it. If it's way before your little one's scheduled wake time, you should be waking them. This will benefit you and them in the long run. Babies do not have a sense of time. They could think that that 10 to 15-minute nap they just took was as refreshing as an hour nap, but that's just not the case, and they won't be able to stay awake for very long before they need another nap again because that nap was just not refreshing enough. It did not help them enough to get through to their next wake window, and to their next nap. So they don't know that. They don't have a sense of time. So you kind of have to help them out with that. Um, and this will especially happen if they fall asleep in like the car or the stroller, and like you go to like do the swap, the transfer, and they wake up and then they're like ting, wide awake, ready to go and take on the day again. And it's like, oh no. And then 20 minutes later, they're tired again and they need to go for a nap. And that will result in your whole day kind of messing up and throwing your whole day off. So, better to keep them awake until their scheduled wake window and keep your day on time, keep it on schedule, and keep their wake windows how they're supposed to be. So, that's one reason that you would want to keep them awake. Um, and honestly, the little tiny naps that they take, if they're taking like 10-15 minute naps or, short little naps like that, it's not beneficial to them. Babies do need everybody, but especially little ones who are still growing, they need that deep restorative sleep, which happens after one sleep cycle and on. And that deeper sort of restorative sleep helps their growth and development. One thing it really releases at that time is the human growth hormone, which is what they need for their brain to grow, their body to grow, and for them to develop and just grow in general. So it's super important for them to get that deep restorative sleep. And having cat naps throughout the day, they just might not be able to meet that. Um, so yeah, another benefit to keeping your little one awake. Is that you want to maybe if you want to start stretching their wake windows, that would be one benefit to doing it. So um, you're trying to your little one's really struggling to meet those wake windows, so you're really trying to get them to make those wake to meet those wake windows, and so this can benefit you in the long run is by stretch their wake window. You can just help them stay awake for a little bit longer, and I'm going to get into in a minute how you can keep them awake longer, because that is another issue that parents, how the heck do I keep them awake? They're tired and they're falling asleep. How am I supposed to keep them awake? I used to say that all the time. I didn't know how to keep them awake. So some of the ways that you can keep them awake would be to pick a new toy to play with. What baby doesn't like a new toy? Babies love new toys. They will play with that for the next 15-20 minutes till their next wake window, and there you go. Another thing would be to sing a song with them, especially songs that are interactive, like Itsy Bitsy Spider. What are some other interactive ones? I actually can't even think of any off the top of my head, but there's tons of them. You can just Google them if you need to. Uh, Even if it's not an interactive one, those ones are obviously preferred, but even if it's not an interactive one, singing songs with your little one, they love that. Or even like putting a song on and like dancing with them, even if you're just holding them, dancing with them, they would love that. And that can help them stay awake for a little longer. Going for a walk outside, getting some fresh air and sun. The sun can help a little one stay awake longer. Same with fresh air, but it can also put a little one to sleep. So you really have to be careful with that one. And then another one would be to have a cute little conversation with your little one. Like babies love it when you actually pretend to have a conversation with them and you're like, oh, what do you want to do today? And then they're like, blah, 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 with their gibberish. And then you're like, oh, really? And you answer them. They love that. I don't know why, but I think they actually think that they're having a conversation. So they love that. So that's another good one. If you have an older little one, 6 months or older, you can, and they're eating food, they're established on foods, then you can give them some natural sugar, such as fruits of certain sorts. Maybe not banana, because banana can actually produce melatonin. You can give that right before their nap. But it will give that burst of energy in the beginning, and then it'll taper off. But that can help as well to keep your little one awake. Stripping them down to just their diaper or even just bare naked, as long as it's not too cold, because this can really refresh them and get them, feeling a little perked up and awake again. And also looking out the window with them and pointing at things you see. Oh, honey, look at that tree. What color is it? It looks green. Like, just having a little conversation about the things you see outside. And even allowing them to answer those things and talk in their little gibberish language and get them to point things out. Some little ones aren't old enough to, but you can always be like, look, do you see this? Blah, blah, blah. And they love that. So those are also some good ideas that you can do to keep your little one awake. Those are just a few of them. There's actually lots out there, but that's just a few of them. Um, but yeah, that's really about it in a nutshell. Keeping why you need to keep your baby awake, why it's so important to do that, and meeting those wake windows as best you can is important. Keeping your little one awake is great for stretching out those wake windows and allowing them to learn how to stay awake later. And yeah, when they're showing those sleepy cues before, like 30 minutes or more before their wake window, it's a good idea to keep them awake and to use those things that I gave you for it. So that's about it for you guys. That's why it's important to keep little ones awake. I know that sounds really weird to say, but trust me when I will say it'll benefit both of you. Your little one will have better night sleep if they're getting the proper amount of day sleep, and they'll actually start sleeping better in the day if they're being kept on a certain routine and schedule, which includes wake windows. So yeah, sticking to those, and you will do great. I'm sure all of you will do a good job with that if you do use it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.